Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you are enjoying the conference so far. My name is Collins, and on behalf of my amazing co-authors, I'm very excited to present to you our recent work on the security and usability impact of moving from 4 to 6-digit pins. So 4-digit pins have long been the default method of authentication on smartphones. However, recently companies like Apple have moved to encourage users to select 6-digit pins over 4-digit pins, citing that this improves security. Well, but does moving from 4 to 6 digits really improve security of human-chosen pins? And what impact does this actually have on usability? So all these questions inspired us to do this study. More specifically, we were interested in addressing 3 research questions. Number 1, how do users select a 4-digit pin having previously selected a 6-digit pin? How do users select a 6-digit pin having previously selected a 4-digit pin? We were also interested in the upgrade process, as well as how the justification provided overall impacts security and usability. Lastly, we were interested in how predictable a user's 6-digit pin is if their previous 4-digit pin is known to an attacker. To address our research questions, we conducted an online survey where participants first selected 4-digit pins they would use to secure their smartphones. It's important to note that all participants selected 4-digit pins under the same conditions. Thereafter, we asked participants some device usage questions, including the number of devices they own, the authentication mechanisms they use as a distractor task. Afterwards, we provided participants with instructions for selecting a 6-digit pin. We varied these instructions depending on the treatment to see whether this would actually impact the security of selected pins. We had a total of 5 treatments, and I'll explain them further in the next slide. After recalling their 4-digit pin, participants selected a 6-digit pin. We then asked some follow-up questions before ultimately asking participants to recall their 6-digit pin. When selecting their 6-digit pin, we had a total of 5 different treatments where we varied the upgrade message. For neutral, we used a very neutral message where we just asked participants to now select a 6-digit pin to advance with the study. For upgrade, we asked participants to imagine that their smartphone operating system was upgrading, and they now had to select a 6-digit pin. For security, we told participants that their 4-digit pin was insecure, and they now had to select a 6-digit pin. For bridge, we asked participants to imagine that someone had learned their 4-digit pin, and they now had to select a 6-digit pin. Lastly, for the no subsequence treatment, we used a similar messaging to the neutral treatment, but in addition, we had a block list where we prevented participants from using any subsequence of their 4-digit pin in their 6-digit pin. For example, if a participant selected 1, 2, 3, 4 as their 4-digit pin, they, for example, could not select 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as their 6-digit pin. In terms of demographics, we recruited a total of 1,010 participants from the US using Prolific. We also ensured that each treatment was assigned at least 200 participants. Participants used their own smartphones to both select and recall pins as part of the study. So what did we find? Because of time, I'll only focus on our security results, but if you are interested in learning more about our usability findings, please feel free to refer to our paper. So in presenting our usability results, we focus on both an untargeted and a targeted attacker. We use the untargeted attacker to guess both 4 and 6-digit pins. For this attacker, we assume that they have no prior information about the victim. The attacker also uses data sets obtained from previous literature to do the guessing, and they guess the pins in descending frequency order in such a way that for the pins that most frequently occurred in previous data sets, we guess those pins first before guessing the less frequent ones. For the guessability results themselves, the x-axis represents the number of guesses made by the attacker, while the y-axis represents the fraction of pins that are guessed. The more the pins that are guessed, the more insecure these pins are, and the lesser the pins are guessed, the more secure they are. So this graph that you can see here shows how an untargeted attacker performs when guessing 4-digit pins across the different treatments. And as a reminder, participants selected 4-digit pins under the same conditions. And from this, we can see that the guessing performance of this attacker is comparable across all the treatments with no significant differences. When we compare the guessing performance of 4-digit pins to 6-digit pins in the neutral treatment, which we used as a control treatment, we find that the performance is mostly the same, though 6-digit pins appear to be somewhat less guessable when making up to 30 guesses. However, when making up to 10 guesses, which is kind of like the cutoff for iOS where the device will either lock or get wiped out, this attacker guesses comparatively the same number of 6-digit pins in the neutral treatment compared to most of the 4-digit pin treatments. And the key takeaway here is that 6-digit pins only offer a small security improvement over 4-digit pins, if any, but seem to add additional usability burdens that may not be worth the limited security gains. And this is something that system designers should appropriately consider before requiring upgrades. We were also interested in the impact of the upgrade message on the security of selected 6-digit pins. And comparatively, a small fraction of pins in the more security-oriented treatments, which is security and breach, were guessed by the untargeted attacker. This is in comparison to the neutral and upgrade treatments, where a comparatively higher number of pins were guessed. This implies that security-oriented messages can indeed nudge users to select more secure pins. Counterintuitively, the pins in the no subsequence treatment seem to be the most easily guessed when making up to 30 guesses, despite the block list that we had in place. This is most likely as a result of user frustration after they could not use their 4-digit pin subsequences and resorted to using more common, easily guessable 6-digit pins. This shows that well-intended security measures can sometimes fail to achieve their desired outcomes. Nevertheless, more security-oriented upgrade messages are a promising way to nudge users to select more secure pins. Besides the untargeted attacker, we used a targeted attacker to measure the security of selected 6-digit pins. We assume that this attacker knows the victim's 4-digit pin in attempting to guess their 6-digit pin. And so the initial guesses made by this attacker are targeted, and other guesses are made in descending frequency order, similar to the untargeted attacker. Lastly, we assume that this attacker is aware of the block list that was used in the no subsequence treatment and doesn't attempt to guess pins that could not have been selected as part of this treatment. To model our targeted attacker, we first analyzed 4 to 6-digit pin transitions and observed that appends were the most common. And more specifically, most users chose to append the first 2 digits. We also had several participants append the last digit twice, and we also had participants append the last 2 digits to their 4-digit pin when creating their 6-digit pin. We also observed several common pins, including 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, as well as an inverse of this pin. We also observed geometric patterns on the keyboard, such as 1, 5, 9, 3, 5, 7. We also had a number of prepends, but the most common one was users mostly appending 0, 0 to their 4-digit pin when creating their 6-digit pin. So we used some of this as part of our targeted attacker when trying to guess participants' 6-digit pins. And this graph that you can see here is how an untargeted attacker performs, which you've already seen. And this graph that you see on the right is how a targeted attacker performs. And we can see quite a huge improvement in attacker performance across all treatments except the no subsequent treatment, where we explicitly prevented participants from selecting 6-digit pins related to their 4-digit pins. Interestingly, in the upgrade scenario, which is the most relevant to iOS, pins here are the most easily guessable, with over 25% of pins guessed after just 10 guesses. And the key conclusion from here is that many users select 6-digit pins related to their 4-digit pins, and preventing this relationship does not necessarily improve security. To summarize, we conducted a study to explore the security and usability implications of upgrading from 4 to 6-digit pins. We find that most users select 6-digit pins that are related to their 4-digit pins, and preventing this relationship does not seem to improve security. At the same time, we found that security-oriented upgrade messages did seem to improve security. Overall, we argue that encouraging the selection of a secure pin once, whether of 4 or 6 digits, is likely to have more security benefits than requiring upgrades. Thank you so much, and I'll now take questions.